plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, just choose your seat and sit down. Ah, yes, plenty good room, good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, just choose your seat and sit down. He said to Peter, James, and John, 'tis written, I must die to shed my blood on Calvary. Go thou and prophesy. Oh, there's plenty good room, good room in the Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, just choose your seat and sit down. Hosanna to the Prince of Peace, who clothed himself with clay and entered the iron gates of death and took his sting away. Oh, there's plenty good room, good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, just choose your seat and sit down. Oh, there's plenty good room, good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, just choose your seat and sit down.
A reading from John, chapter 14, verses 1 through 3. Do not be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. My Father's house has room to spare. When I go to prepare a place for you, I will return and take you to be with me, so that where I am, you will be also. While overtly referring to the anticipated blessings in heaven, the spiritual plenty good room also has another message. Slaves were protesting their status in life, where they were not given room to live, work, or exist as human beings. This state, as the words to the song clearly indicate, is not reflective of God's kingdom. In that kingdom, they had plenty good room. The words of the spiritual were also a subtle protest against the tiny one-room shacks and other deplorable lodgings in which slaves were forced to live. Understandably, slaves longed for a place where they could have their basic physical needs met. As slaves, they physically and figuratively had no room. Succeeding generations of African Americans have extended this understanding of plenty good room to include equal participation for all at every level of society. African Americans and others have not been given room to vote, to work, to shop, to travel, or even eat equitably in the United States. Treated as members of the lower caste, they are systematically excluded from fully participating in societal life, even as they were citizens. The brutal victimization and disenfranchisement of blacks gave reason for many to despair. Spirituals like Plenty Good Room, holy relics from the past, were dusted off and became reinvigorated as symbols of the ongoing quest for human equality, even as the spiritual hope of the world beyond was maintained. This kind of activity characterized the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. But the question remains, even today, can the room mentioned in the spiritual be found? Even today, the art of the African American communities is devalued, treated as lesser because opportunities are lesser. The version of the song that we heard at the beginning of this reflection is by Roland Hayes, a famed tenor and composer. He is considered by many to be the first African American male concert artist to receive worldwide international acclaim. Roland attended Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, and toured with the Fisk Jubilee Singers, whose version of the spiritual you will hear at the end of my talking. Shortly after graduating, he began arranging his own recitals, because no one would do it for him, and made his official debut at the 1915 Boston Symphony Hall, where he received critical acclaim. Also a composer, he published a collection of spirituals in 1948 called My Songs, Afro-American Religious Folk Songs, arranged and interpreted. This collection of African American spirituals and religious folk songs continues to be used unto this day. Among his many recognitions are 8 honorary academic degrees, an induction into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. He also taught voice at Boston University, and in 1962, at age 75, he gave his farewell concert at Carnegie Hall. Recordings of Hayes's performances are hard to come by, but many singers, including opera star Kathleen Battle, who will close this devotion out, use his arrangements to this day. I also would like to mention the artists whose art underlies this devotional. Many of them are current artists whose art is readily available for purchase online. But many of them also faced great discrimination, both because of the color of their skin and because of the style of art that they created. I remember when I was young and would visit cities where muralists were regularly called vandals, even when they had been given permission to use a wall for their art. These styles of art merge with the stories and lives of the artists to create greater community, offering hope, seeking inclusion, and promising love to all, with plenty good room to spare. But we have to remember that a seat at the table is not the goal. Judas was still sitting at the table. Transformation and a new dispensation are the goals. A dispensation is a system of order. As the disciples participated in this familiar ritual that they had performed their entire lives called Passover, Jesus transformed its meaning. No longer was it just a ceremony of remembrance, but also now a promise of things to come, a new way to God's kingdom. It was the prelude to a new way of being, a new system of order, where the first would be last and the last would be first, and those who had previously been on the margins were now fully included. As we move through this Lenten season, let us think about our lives and our society. We have to see communion as a means of grace, by which our world becomes more like the beloved community that Jesus bled and died for. What will it take to get there? How do we embody Christ in a world so that we make disciples who will do their part in the true transformation of the world, and not just create mirror images of the empires and systems that have reigned upon us thus far? Amen.
There's plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. There's plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. I would not be a sinner, I'll tell you the reason why. 'Cause if my Lord should call me, I wouldn't be ready to die. There's plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. There's plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. I would not be a backslider, I'll tell you the reason why. 'Cause if my Lord should call me, I wouldn't be ready to die. There's plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. There's plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's Father's kingdom, plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and settle down.
Plenty good room, good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. Oh, plenty good room, good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. I would not be a sinner. I'll tell you the reason why. 'Cause if my Lord should call on me, I wouldn't be ready to die. Plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room. Now just choose your seat and sit down. Oh, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room. Now just choose your seat and sit down. I would not be a backslider. I'll tell you the reason why. 'Cause if my Lord should call on me, I won't be ready to die. Plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room. I just choose your seat and sit down. Oh, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room. I just choose your seat and sit down. Oh, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room. I just choose